Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Your Mark on the World show. I'm your host, Devin Thorpe, and our guest today is our wonderful sponsor, AdaPia from Patch of Land. AdaPia, welcome back to the show.
Hi, Devin. Thanks for having me again.
We're thrilled to have you back and excited to have a discussion today about, really your expertise. You're the Chief Marketing Officer for Patch of Land. You're doing a great job and really, truly an expert in this space. But I thought it was interesting that you've developed some fairly cogent thoughts about mindful marketing. Mm-hmm. And so you provided me with 3 tips in advance of this discussion, and I'm excited to sort of walk through those with you. The first tip you offered was to live and act with intent and to apply that to marketing. Mm-hmm. Walk us through how and why that matters.
I think it matters a lot in today's world of fragmented attention. I do it all the time too, and I have to catch myself with a huge amount of awareness if I'm speaking to someone to not have my phone with me or a different screen on, or I don't own a television, so I don't have that problem, but basically just giving somebody my full attention. And I think this is a rampant problem in the world today. The internet, the web, mobile has brought us together, but it's also taken our attention away from each other. And because so many of us live and operate online, and as marketers especially, the idea of intent really is that when you're doing something, do it with intent. And this on social media is especially important because there are many programs, software, businesses that tell you just automate. I'll get you 10,000 followers for $5, automate everything. And you know what? You can tell when something's automated. It's not authentic. There's no sense of community, which really is what social media was supposed to be about. So the idea really is spend actual 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30, put a timer on so that you don't go down the rabbit hole. But actually engage, think about what you're writing, and actually go read what people are saying and posting. And that's really where that mindfulness approach to marketing comes in.
I think it's really an important insight because we spend so much time in our days disconnected, multitasking, ignoring. It is, I think, an important notion, and especially with respect to social media. I think anyone who's doing this professionally has shortcuts and automation tweaks that help them do this more effectively. And I think what you're cautioning is more efficient isn't necessarily more effective.
Exactly.
Great.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you also suggest to put yourself not only into your customers' shoes, but into their online persona. What do you mean by that?
I mean that I think all of us, when we're online, we're a little bit different than we are in real life. And ultimately, I think in marketing, it's really important to know your customers. Number one, I mean, you're not just yelling at them or selling them something. That's not what it's about. It's so much more important today than ever before to earn their trust. And you really need to understand them, and you need to understand how they operate online. There was a Second Life was a big site for a long time, and there are multiple. There's huge gaming communities on as well, where people literally assume another personality. And I'm not talking about something that extreme, but I know when I'm writing online, if I'm writing a blog post, I'm in a certain mindset. I'm speaking in a certain way. If I'm on Twitter, because of the mechanics of Twitter, the kind of audience that is on Twitter and how it works, I'm different. On Facebook, there's more of a personal community on Facebook, so I might be a little more open, a little more relaxed. On LinkedIn, I'm not telling jokes. You have to really understand the channel, how it's used, and how people act on the channel. There are unspoken rules of conduct and unspoken rules of behavior on different platforms online. And so that's what I mean. We're multiple personalities in our own being. And then that just gets amplified and fragmented even more on different channels online.
It is important. as you think about your persona online, do you try to be, say, a good version of yourself, or do you try to be someone else? I want to drill down on that question just a little bit.
Sure. I mean, for me personally, I'm trying to be a better version of myself. And there are people, I mean, if you're reading a heated topic and you're looking at people commenting and, you know, the so-called like trolls and trolling and the negativity, I've read some case studies where people were, I mean, the harassment and the bullying, those people in real life probably aren't like that. There's a certain maybe like projection or venting. There's something you hide behind when you also are using like an avatar, like a name or an avatar. You don't have to be the good person that you might be in real life. And I think to a large degree that's true. For me, that's just not how I personally operate. But I feel like it's something very, very big out there. And so it's also, cautionary. Like if somebody is being really negative or mean online, like there's ways of diffusing that without getting caught up in it. But so much I see people get caught up in it, and even the author of a blog post, let's say, or a brand will get caught up in it, and you shouldn't. And a lot of times, just like in normal human relationships, it's probably just their issues that are coming out that way.
Yeah, for marketers, it seems to me that although you want to be the best version of yourself, some of the keys to being really that best version of yourself would be to use your real name, an image that actually represents you. If you use an avatar, it should be something that fairly and authentically. Otherwise, this whole notion of mindfulness would sort of seem to go out the window if we're not really presenting ourselves to the group, don't you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly. I mean, especially like if you're representing a brand or you're representing yourself online, unless your intent is to be someone else, then it should absolutely be a true, authentic representation of who you are. Absolutely.
Now, your last tip of the 3 was to create value for your audience. How do you create value for your audience, especially when we're talking about social media?
I think the value creation really comes from everything we've talked about, being really truly engaged, actually caring. I remember one of the very first books I read that helped me become a better person was How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. And one of the big rules is listen more. And just by listening and really listening, not just hearing, so, put the phone down again, like giving full attention, really listening will help you understand that person better. And in the understanding of a person, especially as marketers, you can understand their needs, their wants, what their life is like. And then you can provide value in the form of a product, if that's what you have, or a service. And a lot of times, most times, you don't even want to talk about what you do. You want to talk about other things that are helpful to them, and you want them to associate you with someone who cares, somebody who's focused on them, somebody who wants to engage with them, and somebody who actually authentically cares about helping them. So to me, marketing today, aside from the technical side of marketing, is customer service. And really, really hardcore caring of that person. There's a lot of talk, I think, the customer segmentation of one. Every single person is unique. So how can you offer them the greatest value and benefits? And I think the first thing in that is your time and attention.
I think it's really a great insight to be talking about how you give people time and attention. And one of the things I've tried with some success is asking thought questions of an audience. But I have had it go wrong.
Oh.
I once asked a thought question that made people mad, and it was interesting. The people who knew me best and cared about me were very kind, and they responded in a contrary way to one that I had expected, but kindly.
Right.
And then, as you know, as social media works, right, that you're a topic that generates more attention starts gathering more attention, and so as I started reaching beyond my core group to an outer group, they still disagreed with me, but they were now hostile.
Oh no. Well, they were hostile because they didn't have a relationship with you and they didn't already know you. And I think that's like that if there's concentric circles of influence and they were so many degrees removed from you that they thought that they could behave in a certain way because they don't actually know you. Whereas if they did, like your inner circles, they reacted in a more positive way. I think that's a great example of what can happen, and having compassion for them and understanding for them, even though they had none for you.
Yeah. But I think it's interesting that you highlight this issue because people, when you talk about creating value for your audience, what I think people really want, not exclusively, you've got a dish sometimes, but they want to be heard, right? And you talked about that earlier, and that you need to maybe put a timer on it to limit it, but you got to go actually read what people are writing. You've got to be part of the community, right? It's a two-way street.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely a two-way street.
Now, how does that work for a brand? I think about this in trying to promote my work. Mm-hmm. My work revolves around me. I have a small team. It's pretty much me, and I have some, contract resources, especially AdaPia in Bangladesh, who helps me. But if I am marketing for a brand like Patch of Land, or if I'm marketing a brand like General Electric, how do I apply these principles?
I mean, a Patch of Land and a General Electric are so different in and of themselves. Patch of Land is still small. It's represented by a few people, including myself. And I think if you're thinking on the social media side, the person or the people running the social media channels that's their whole job. Like that's what they do, and they have to be really in tune with the company, the culture, and what it stands for. And that comes out in the way that they interact with the audience that they're out to build. So all the things that we talked about mindfulness and intent and authenticity and listening and adding value. And with a smaller brand, it's a little easier because it is smaller. I sometimes have issues with big brands that try to do social media and try to be your friend. I don't think you should try to do that as a large brand. I mean, General Electric just ran an amazing campaign that landed them in Fastco. I think it was Fastco for one of the most innovative marketing campaigns of the year, where they were really kind of making fun of themselves with these videos about being an innovations company. And they're really good videos if you haven't seen them, and it completely changes the way you think about them as a company. So I would like to see their social media have that kind of a tongue-in-cheek. I would like to see their social media managers really playing that up and living that brand presence that they've started to build with the videos. So not being dry, not trying to be, a friend, but, continuing the journey that the customers are on, having come from the videos especially. So it's like a tone and a personality. It's personality.
Yeah, well, that's an interesting approach. Our time is wrapping up here, AdaPia. Before you go, will you just tell people how they can connect with you to learn more about Patch of Land?
Sure. So Patch of Land, as it's spelled, patchofland.com. My name, AdaPia. You can plug that one into Google and I'll come up on all the social media channels. I'm pretty easy to find, so come and find me. And yeah, come and visit the site and our blog, our resource center. That's really where we try to add value with educating people around what we do and the opportunities inherent in crowdfunding.
Fantastic. Well, AdaPia, thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. We wish you every success in the great work you're doing.
Thanks, Devin.
All righty, let's do some good.